everybody, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Amy and today we're going to be talking about the books that I read in January. I went into January like very ambitious. I was convinced for some reason that I was going to read like 20 plus books. Bearing in mind I have a full-time job and I was also away skiing for a week in January, which actually feels like years ago. It is just insane that like that month just felt so long. I feel like everybody can agree on that. Like January just feels like months and months and months. Anyway, so I did not read 20 books. I read 5 books, which I am pretty happy with because I think my goal for this year is to read around 55 books, and that works out at like 1 book a week. That's right, isn't it? There's 56 weeks. Yeah. So, you know, I'm on track to get my reading goal this year. However, like I do kind of want to read a little bit more than what I am at the minute, but I still want to enjoy the books. Anyway, I actually had a very good reading month in terms of, like, I really enjoyed all of the books that I read. The first one that I read was, I mean, is this a book? I mean, it is, but it's a poetry book. So it is The Orange by Wendy Cope, and anybody that knows this poem, The Orange, falls in love with it. Like, I feel like it is the majority of people's favourite poem, and it's just gorgeous and lovely. And whenever I saw this edition come out, I purely bought it because of the cover, but I just thought that I would read her other poems because I don't think I had read that many before. I'd only really read The Orange and obviously fell in love with it, but honestly I really recommend this. I give it a 5-star, but it feels like kind of weird rating poems out of 5. I don't know. Like obviously like some poems are awful, but these ones were actually amazing, and I recommend anybody to read Wendy Cope if you're into poetry and stuff. And it's definitely opened my eyes up a little bit to poetry, and I do think that I would like to read some more this year. It's definitely a goal of mine to pick up some more poets books and yeah, just see what I like, see what I don't like. I just really enjoyed this a lot more than I thought that I would, and I read it in one sitting. It is very short, as you can see, but it was amazing and I loved it. I actually can't remember which one I read first. I think then I read The Storied Life of A.J. Fcker. I'm pretty sure anyway. It doesn't really matter what order, does it? And this book is by Gabrielle Zevin, and I absolutely love Gabrielle Zevin. I had read Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by her. I feel like that is definitely her most popular book, and I just fell in love with it. I thought it was an amazing book. I gave it 5 stars. Whenever I saw this, I was like, I need it. First of all, the cover is amazing. Like, I'm obsessed with that bookshop, and I love the way she changed the cover to kind of match the Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow. And I think she's doing that with a few of her books. I did actually, off track, but I did pick up another one of her books recently. This one here. It's a young adult book, and do you know what I mean by the covers? Like, they just look beautiful. I'm obsessed with them. But we'll talk about this book possibly in another video because I think I want to read it this month, but we'll see. There's so many books I want to read this month, but hopefully we get to that one eventually because I do. As I said, I love Gabrielle Zevin. So this book follows the life of A.J. Fcker, and he is just not having a good time. He's recently became a widow, and I think he's just going day to day, just surviving instead of living, if you know what I mean. And his life basically gets turned around whenever a little girl is left in his bookshop with a note attached to her, basically saying for him to raise her, and the mum is nowhere to be seen, and nobody really knows like why this has happened, but he basically raises his now daughter, and it just follows the life of A.J. Fcker. And I think it's over the space of about 30 years, maybe like 20 to 30 years. And this book, whenever I went into it, I was like, oh, this is just like a really nice, cozy read, great for in between like more intense books. But honestly, a lot happens in this book, and there's like plot twists, there's drama, and the characters have so much depth, and I just fell in love with it, like especially towards the end. I think like maybe halfway through I was like, oh, this is like a solid 4-star, but honestly, another 5-star read. So January was a very good month for me, and yeah, we started off with 2 very strong 5 stars, and again, I just recommend this to absolutely everybody. And if you haven't read any of her books before, I think this one's actually a great one to start with because Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow is a little bit longer and it's a little bit more intense, and I don't know, it's just you maybe need to concentrate a bit more on that one, whereas this one was just so easy to read, very, very fast paced, and I just loved her style of writing. I feel like she has such a way with words that I haven't seen before in other books. Like, she's very unique in the way that she writes, and how she tells stories is just fascinating to me. So the next book that I read, I don't actually have a physical copy for that because I actually listened to the audiobook of it on Spotify, and I 100% recommend for anybody who wants to read this book to actually listen to it, and that is Down the Drain by Julia Fox. It is her memoir, and honestly, that book blew me away, but the way that she told her own story was just amazing, and it was really fascinating to hear like her voice telling her own story, and I just can't recommend it enough. So if you have Spotify, please listen to that book instead of reading it, because I honestly feel like I got so much more out of it just hearing it from her perspective. And I know it's like kind of weird to rate memoirs because it's like someone's life, but it is a 5-star. Like, it is amazing. I can't believe what that woman has been through. I sympathize with her so much, and I have just such a respect for her now, and just the stories that she tells are honestly insane. Like, I can't get over it. Like, even by the age of 10 she had lived basically more lives than I had. It's just like, I'm speechless for what she had to endure when she was younger, and the situations that she kind of put herself in, to be honest. Like, she almost seeked danger and just like that darker side of life, and it obviously paid off because now she has an amazing story to tell and she is living her best life, I hope. But honestly, I recommend it to anybody, and I just think it's one of those books you need to read, because honestly I wouldn't have been like a fan of Julia Fox before, but now I'm obsessed with her. I want to read anything that she puts out if she ever does again, and I really hope she does, because she's actually an amazing writer. Like, she could 100% write good fiction books, and I would 100% read them if she does. So next I read None of This Is True by Lisa Jewell. I actually took off the dust cover whenever I was reading it, and I don't know where I put it, but I don't mind, it's fine. I hate reading with the dust cover on because it just gets in the way and stuff, and you know, do you know what I mean? I feel like anybody that reads like hardbacks kind of gets what I mean, because they're just annoying. Anyway, this book, it honestly sounds like I just love every single book that I pick up, but honestly, I have not really read that many 5 stars before this month. This book was so good. I'm like, I don't know if I was just like obsessed with reading this month or if these books are actually good, but I genuinely think I just got so lucky. Like, I think all of these books are amazing. This was also a 5-star, possibly like a 4.75, but leaning towards a 5-star. And this book follows, what are the names? There's 2 main characters. One of them's called Alex Summer and the other is Josie. So Alex actually runs her own podcast, and she's like quite famous, I think. And Josie bumps into her at a restaurant where they're both celebrating their 40th or 45th. Oh, now I can't remember. It's either their 40th birthday or their 45th birthday. It's not really like that important what age they are. And they bump into each other again, and Josie basically suggests that Alex should interview her for her podcast because big changes are coming into her life, and she just wants to document her story before these big changes take place. And you basically start to find out about Josie's home life, her husband, her kids, and there's a very, very dark side to Josie that you are kind of unraveling, and Alex is unraveling as well. And it's just one of those thrillers where, like, I was literally reading it so quick. I was just like, tell me more, like throughout the whole book. Like, I just could not put this down unless I literally had to. And I think I was reading like 100 to 200 pages at a time because it's so unputdownable. Is that a word? That's what it is anyway. It is amazing, and like the title, None of This Is True, just is very, very fitting. Like, I have genuine trust issues after reading this book, and it put me, like, I was just questioning everything afterwards. I was like, what is going on? Like, someone tell me the truth, please. And the reason I possibly would give it a 4.75 instead of a 5-star is because the ending wasn't those typical thriller endings where everything's revealed, there's a massive plot twist, and you know, like, do you know what I mean? Like, it didn't catch me off guard necessarily, but I also don't think it was meant to. So that's where I'm like kind of confused. I don't know if I should rate it a 5-star or a 4.75, because I don't think she was trying to achieve like a big plot twist at the end, because I think she's going back to like her title, like you really don't know what is real and what isn't. The book just makes you question, who can you trust in this world? Like, who is telling the truth, who is lying, and how can you tell that apart? And yeah, as I said, major trust issues after reading this book. But I mean, I recommend it if that is what you're feeling at the minute. This was also the first Lisa Jewell book that I had read, and obviously she's like a very, very famous author, and I don't know why, I just never was drawn to her books before, but now I'm 100% going to read like some of her other books that are out, and yeah, I've heard amazing things about all of her books, so I feel like she can do no wrong, so we will see. Hopefully I can get some in the next few months. We're not going to buy any books, hopefully, in the next like month or two, because I have a problem. As you can see, I have a million books and no space for them. That's why they're starting to pile up here. But yeah, I will get to Lisa Jewell definitely this year. Then the next book that I read was Foster by Claire Keegan, and I had actually read another one of Claire Keegan's books, I think maybe in December. It's called Small Things Like These, and I give it a 5-star, and you'll actually never guess this was also a 5-star. Like, this is just blown my head away, because how did I get so lucky this month? Like, I have never been able to do that before. Like, there's usually a few 3-stars, maybe like a 2-star, because I get in reading slumps quite a lot, and this month I'm just thriving when it comes to books. But anyway, this story is like beautiful and just so heartwarming, emotional. Like, I felt every kind of emotion reading this book, and how I just don't know how Claire Keegan does that in such a short amount of pages, but she always just like creates such a beautiful image. Like, I can really view the story in my head while I'm reading it. Like, whenever I think back to this book, it's almost like I watched a movie, because I can just see it so clearly, and I can see the images that she was trying to portray in her writing. And I just thought that the way she wrote this book was beautiful, and she left a lot of things unsaid, but I loved that about it, and you kind of had to fill in the blanks yourself, and I just love her style of writing, and I'll always read anything that she puts out there. There's definitely a few that I still need to catch up on. I have Antarctica still, that's like a collection of her short stories, and there is another book that's a collection of her short stories as well that I really want to buy soon. And yeah, I love this book so much. So this story is actually told in the point of view of a little girl, and she has been basically dropped off to her relatives because her parents can't afford, I think, to have her at the minute. Like, that's like not the right words to say, but that's like the only way I can really describe it. They don't have enough money, and her mum is pregnant with another child. I think they like come from quite a big family, and we basically watch this girl experience her new life with her foster parents, and basically how she loves it with them. And it's very Eden-like for her compared to her like normal situation at home. So she loves being away with this new family, and we basically just like watch her as she does her day to day and how it's so different compared to what she's used to. And you just fall in love with the characters, you fall in love with just, I don't really know how to describe this book. I'm kind of describing it in an awful way, but all I can say is that the writing is so beautiful, and the ending was like, it really tore at my heartstrings. And I mean, I read this in one sitting. It is such a short book, so if you are just like in a bit of a reading slump, I also think this is perfect, because it just really puts you in the story very quickly, and you're immediately hooked to the characters. You want to know like what's going on in the story. And yeah, I highly recommend this book, and of course it was another 5-star. I feel like I'm not going to do a February TBR because I mood read a lot this month, and obviously it paid off really well. Like, I got basically all 5 stars. No, they were all 5 stars. And I just feel like if I put a kind of like checklist of books in my mind right now, then I might not be feeling it, but then I'll put pressure on myself to read those books, and then I might not have like a successful reading month. So I do think that I'm just going to go with the flow with how I'm feeling. And I mean, there is a few books that I would love to get around to, but I'm only going to pick them up if I am in the mood for them. I did actually start the Inheritance Games, and I'm really liking that one so far, and I would love to pick up that Gabrielle Zevin book that I was talking about. And there is a few more on my radar. Ever since None of This Is True, I've been in a bit of a thriller mood as well. So there's a lot that I want to read. There's a few thrillers, a few like literary fiction, short stories, everything is on my radar at the minute, but obviously I'm just in such a good reading mood, and I really want to like hold on to that, because I can just sense that a reading slump is going to come after me, because it always does, and it's the worst feeling in the world. So yeah, hopefully I get another really good reading month this month, because that was just not normal, having so many 5-star reads, and I am really happy with myself for starting off the year so strong. But yeah, that brings us to the end of this video. It was probably a short one because I just flew through talking about those books because it was just so easy, and I obviously didn't read like a lot of books. I would love to read more books this month, but I'm not gonna put pressure on myself. I do want to read, well, not technically read, but I want to listen to a few audiobooks, so I feel like that might like help me read a few more books. And it's not like I'm putting pressure on myself to like get a certain number. I just like talking about a lot of books at the end of the month, so, and it just means I can recommend more to you guys as well. So we will see at the end of February what mood I'm in. Hopefully I am still loving reading and nowhere near in a slump, but we will see then. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.